game, always improving the mind. Man, it is a beautiful, blessed morning. I'm so grateful to be awoke and alive and here with you all today. And let me tell you something, man. There was a time when I didn't even know if I would make it here. There was a time when I was like, woe is me, everything is going wrong, everything is chaotic, right? I was just out of it. What happened? Well, first of all, thank you all for being here, who's all tuning in. First of all, what happened with me was we got to talk about depression, right? We got to talk about depression. When anytime that anytime that I talk about mental health, when you think about mental health, right? Think about mental health, you think about mental health issues. What is usually the issue? What is usually the issue? Every time we think about mental health, what usually happens? What comes to mind? Depression, anxiety, suicide, right? Doubt, self-loathing, self-hate instead of self-care, self-love. These are the things that usually come to mind when you think of mental health, and then you go into the realm of mental illness and things like that. So anytime I saw a reoccurring theme, anytime I talked about mindset and mental health, it always went to the mental illness. What is wrong? And this is one of the reoccurring things is depression. Well, let's make light of depression today. Let's make light of depression today. Yes, depression is heavy. It surprises me how normal depression is. You know where depression comes from? Comparison. You know where depression comes from? Not acknowledging yourself, your greatness. Depression, like I said, I'm gonna make light of it. And I've been one who has been depressed or depressive. I've been in depressive moments, right? And we'll get into that. But depression really is of the mind. Now I know that this can affect other factors. This can affect other areas of life. Depression, when you're really in a depressive state, you feel it. You can feel it physically, right? It's draining. It is so heavy. If you've ever been there, you know what I'm talking about. It's like you want to be in the dark, but you don't want to be in the dark. You want to isolate, but you want to be around people. You want you want love, but you don't want nobody to embrace you. It's like a constant battle. It's like a constant battle, right? And it's like I just want better. I just want, I don't even know. When you that deep into your depressive moment, notice I keep calling it a depressive moment. When you that deep into that phase, it's like forget it, forget everything. Why even try? What are we doing here? Like start to question and you start to go down that downward spiral, and you if you stay there long enough, you start to hold all of those things as true. um so for me, everybody has a story about 2020. Everybody has a story about 2020, right? uh what 2020 really did me in, I put forth the most effort. I was the most consistent. I invested the most money into business and self. I had thankfully invested into a coach. Originally, it was supposed to be a business coach, but this really showed me the connectivity between life and business. Your business grows as you grow. Anybody out there who has or wants to start a business, please understand this. It's not business, it's personal. No, it's personal. Your business grows alongside your growth. You cannot have business growth. Your business cannot grow if you're not growing yourself. So it is personal. Okay. And in 2020, I put forth the most effort, I put forth the most money, and I got the least monetary result. And I still made a good amount of money. I still made more than, than just a salary. My businesses still made movement, but just not the return of investment that I put forth. I didn't get that ROI that I was looking for. Okay. Um, Mental health is of the utmost importance. 2020 really just turned everything upside down. I'm not using it as an excuse because there were many people who were successful within 2020. Um, and I just was determined to be one of those. And you can consider it a success. I consider it a success because I learned more about myself, and I'm grounded and humbled by my experience, and my experience has led me to much more authentic avenues of business. So let's get into it. Okay, what happened in 2020 that led me to my depression, right? I actually wrote an article about this in the Afro Wellness magazine. Maybe I'll leave that link in the description. But in the Afro Wellness magazine, they asked me to write about something, and I wrote about depression. That's what I had just stumbled across. Now, one of the things I tell people is don't subject to the labeling of depression. Once you label yourself depressed, you stick to it. It becomes you. You're a subject of depression. That's why I keep on saying depressive moment. I've had a depressive moment, but I'm not depressed. When I say I'm depressed, that changed my mentality to I want to say it out loud now. I'm loud and proud about it, because everybody has been in a depressive moment. Everybody knows what that feels like to them. So outwardly, they like, yo, I ain't going I ain't gonna push you out of it. Everybody wants to coddle you, right? Once you label yourself depressed. And that's like an instant gratification. I realize a lot of people who claim themselves to be depressed actually have a lot of good stuff going on, but they can't see it because they're so focused on I'm depressed. Once you're on that label, it's so hard to break free from that title. So uh I was depressed. I had a depressive moment. I didn't even acknowledge it until I got away from what was making me depressed. Now, in 2020, you had a whole lot of change. I was doing real estate wholesaling, and that was my primary business at the time. And granted, the year before, I had made good. I had did so well, and I had enough to invest. I put I got a coach. I paid 1,000 a month for this coach, so that's 12,000, right? I paid 1,000 a month for this coach for the whole year. That's 12,000. I put towards an investment, right? Not to mention the tools that I bought, the resources that I bought into, the it's called Bird Dog, and I paid other people for leads of who might would want to sell their house at a discount, right? So I I I invested so much, and I closed. I made about even of what I invested. That's why I'm saying like it wasn't a failure, but I became depressed because I was expecting to make six figures the way I was investing. You feel me? Because I made all of that other money previously with much less investment. The previous year I think that's I scratched six figures. I'm like, yo, like I did this with this amount of investment, then I know if I invest more, I'm going to get right. So I was like, "Yo," oh, I just knew I was gonna make it, and then everything just crashed and turned upside down. I was hesitant to go with the to adapt to virtual because I'm a confrontational. I was a in-person person. I need to see the house. I need to go meet the person. That's where the selling is done for me. I'm not good over the phone. Well, I have to develop all of these things, and I did. You know, I transitioned, I adapted with the times and still didn't get but so much, but, let's see, we was forced to isolate, so not only did things change with the business structure, but it also changed at home. Now my woman works from home, which I was like, "This is a great thing. I can't wait to see her all the time." But that made her go stir crazy. 'Cause now it's like being locked up. Like, she's an introvert, she loves isolation, but of her own. And then the whole battle of separating work from home, because now both of us are operating out of this one space. And we used to be able to, cause she, does travel. So with her doing travel, we had a two-bedroom apartment. We created the office in that second bedroom. So in that second bedroom, we shared a office space. In the desk, half of the desk was hers, half of the desk was mine. So now with her working from home, I no longer have a workspace. She has to have the office. And I gave her that. I permitted that because I already knew that you're gonna have to separate work from home. You cannot bring work home. The stresses of work cannot cross over into your piece of home. Come on, man. So yes, modify this office to yours. This is your office now. You know what I mean? And I went out my way to make it as comfortable as possible, but it still was more of a mental thing for her. How do you like exit the room and now all of that is behind you? You know, like is a tough thing. So I'm watching my woman stress, and both of us have to adjust because I'm like I said, she's more introverted, I'm more extroverted. Her love language is quality time. Mine is acts of service and touch. So I'm like in your face, you know. Um, and when I was like she would come out of the room and I'm ready to jump in her face like a happy puppy, and it was too much. I had to learn. We had to relearn each other, you know, and that was a stressful time. Um, and we had to learn to adapt too. You know, like that drive from work used to be her peace and quiet time. You know, that used to be her time to be with herself, wind down, you know, and build herself up to continue to entertain because she really has a social battery. And I had to learn that, you know, like I don't for the most part. I mean, I have a social battery, but mine's usually full. Like I could go for days, months of talking and interacting and going out and all of that before I'm like, yo, I just need to chill. I just need some time to myself. Um, so my relationship was challenged, right? Uh, Not only that, it was an engagement. We were supposed to get married in 2020, but all of the venues, everything was closed, right? Everything had changed, and it's like how did I become into a depressive state? Everything that I'm working towards just kept failing. Like I'm not happy at home, but I can't leave home. I'm an essential worker. I still had 2 jobs, right? And now I'm an essential worker. So now I'm working more as well as investing more in my own business. But now I only have like, let's see, because I'm so essential, I had like 4 hours in the day, which is enough if you manage your time. But I had like 4 hours in the day, and really it was like 2 hours just in between jobs. So I'm working like crazy and investing in the business, and and I was barely at home, but when I was at home, it wasn't happy, it wasn't peaceful, right? And so that made me wanna just run, but I was like, "Nah, this can't be right." You know, so 2020 really just threw everything upside down, and I wasn't getting the results that I wanted, even though I was putting in more effort, more work, more investment, investing more resources, time and money into everything that I wanted to work. Everybody I had, all of my potential deals, I was like, all of these, I had like 10 of them lined up. I'm like, yo, they're gonna close. I'm about to be at six figures halfway through the year. All of them fell besides one. Thankful for that one, because that's what led me to be able to invest in the rest of the year. You know, I made 10K off of one. So I was able to invest that throughout the year strategically. So I was like, yo, nothing is working. Me and my wife, like I said, she does travel. Travel seized up. You can't go nowhere, right? So she got stressed out over that. So her side hustle, which is also her hobby and her passion, she couldn't do. We love to travel. This is how she became a travel agent, a licensed travel agent. We love to travel, but I am not a travel planner. That's her part. She was getting stressed out. She's like, "Yo, there's nothing for us to do. We can't go nowhere. We can't even go to a restaurant at this point." You know, like not it's like she loves being isolated and being in, but not by force. It's like you're locked up. So I'm watching her stress out, and then I'm like, we just need to get out of here. But where can we go? What can we do? It was like entrapment, man. I was like, yo, it's crazy. She started to go crazy. We started arguing. Um, Everybody that I was talking to seized up on their assets. They like, you know what? I'm not selling right now. That's when the real estate market flipped. It's like, yo, everybody was like, yo, your property worth 80,000. You trying to sell it for 400? Like, stop playing. You know what I mean? I'm gonna give you this 80. You know what I mean? I'll give you the top notch of what you can possibly get, you know what I'm saying, realistically, that I could still make some type of profit off of. I was willing to shorten my return on my investments so that you can get more from this now asset. But, you know, I didn't close on a lot of deals. And the deal that I did wind up closing on had a whole lot of headache behind it. There was lawyers involved, you know, there was snakes in suits. There was r- relatives, squatters. I mean, you name it, bro. Like there was so much going on with that one deal that it just took me out. Then the person that I was dealing with, who was bringing the capital to close on this deal, kept on changing his numbers, and I'm like, yo, everybody just keeps on changing. It just was taking me out, bro. I wasn't seeing the results of my work and effort. I was set and focused on the number, an amount of money to be made by the end of the year. I had goals, and I didn't reach them. You know, I was the most consistent I had ever been. I could look back. I tracked these numbers. Like I could look back at it and was like, yo, I'm not putting no effort, much effort anywhere else. I'm like, just work. I had got into that, just put my head down and work, forget everything. Everything will work itself out, and went crazy. Was starting to go crazy, right? And I realized that I had become depressive. I was very sensitive. And in my sensitivity, sensitive doesn't mean soft. In my sensitivity, what happened with me is I am easily irritable. I was easy to irritate, right? So my woman will walk in the room. If I'm sitting in my work area, which was the living room, if I'm sitting in my work area, don't talk to me. That is crazy. So she would just walk in the room. I mean, you got to walk past the living room, right? So she would walk in the room, and I'd be like, I'm that easy to irritate. Like now, like now I'm stressing her out. Like, it was crazy. Um, but shout out to my life coach, business coach turned life coach. Because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have made it through 2020 with my sanity intact, right? This was someone who held me accountable and showed me how much I really was accomplishing. I mean, within all of that, you think of that, I was able to invest like 15 bands. I was able to invest. Most people don't save 15,000. A lot of people salaries are a little bit more than 15,000 over a year. I was able to invest that. That's not what I made. That was what I was able to accumulate to be able to invest in my business and in myself, right? So I really was accomplishing a lot. I just wasn't accomplishing what I sought out for. So I became depressive. Here we go. I became depressive because I wasn't acknowledging what was actually going on in my life. I wasn't acknowledging the good. I wasn't grateful for what actually was happening. I was upset at what I wasn't getting, at what I felt I deserved, what I was entitled to. Right? So that's another thing that I truly learned through experience is consistency has no time limit. You can be as consistent, you just got to be consistent undeterminably. You have to be consistent until you reach the goal, right? You have to be consistent until you reach the goal. I was like, I'm gonna be consistent for X amount of time, and this is gonna get me this type of result, and it didn't happen. Surprise, surprise. And I was like, yo, now I'm failing, right? That's what I'm telling myself. Now I'm failing. I ain't doing right. I'm not living up to my standards. The expectation is what led me to a depressive state of mind. When really all of that work, all of that effort I was doing, man, you got to know that it's going to pay off. It may not be when you want it to, but you got to know it's going to pay off, right? So I love my coach. He held me accountable and showed me how much I actually was accomplishing. He didn't allow me to be blinded by money or the lack thereof. And that never was my objective. Like money is the vehicle to allow me to do and live freely and purposefully. So I assumed that I didn't need any me time. Like what I need time to myself for, I'm working, right? I threw everything that I was working for to the side. I threw my wife to the side. My now wife, she wasn't my wife at the time. I threw my wife to the side. I threw my family to the side. I threw my friends to the side. I threw myself to the side just to continue working. I lost sight of my purpose. These are the things that led me to become depressive. I didn't give myself any time. I don't think I played the game. Yeah, I know I love playing the game. I wouldn't allow myself to. There's work to be done, right? I want to talk about work-life balance. You a man, just keep working. Well, okay. I wasn't planning on vacations or trying to stop and smell the roses. I'm a stop and smell the roses type person. I literally did that yesterday. Literally. I'm a stop and smell the roses type person, right? I simply wanted to work and make progress. That's it. That's all. I neglected myself and my closest loved ones to focus on the businesses. And I was running myself into the ground all the way until the end of the year. It wasn't until November, December that uh my fiance at the time, and who is now my wife, and I love that lady so much. She planned a spontaneous getaway. Like they finally like cracked open the door, and it was like, we just gotta get out of here. She didn't care. It was just a weekend to Virginia Beach. We live in Richmond, Virginia. Virginia Beach is a hop, skip, and a jump right up the street. And it's one of those places that it's close enough to us that we like not gonna pay to stay there. Like we could just go. But she got us a room. It was a hotel, oceanfront. You know what I'm saying? So our we was able to go down there. It wasn't anything extravagant. It just was nice enough for us to get away. Just an overnight stay to the holiday, uh, to the holiday lights tour. We did the holiday lights. It was dope. I loved it. It was something so simple. It was freezing and we on the beach. you know, uh, we said we don't care about the whole, pandemic scare. We don't care no more. Like we just got to get out of here. We went to the hotel front on the beach, the oceanfront hotel, and we did that holiday lights tour. Right that night, we ate at the restaurant at the hotel, which was very good, very good. Still remember, I don't still remember the chefs. Like it was amazing. I was like, yo, y'all doing y'all thing. Um, and the best thing about it was it wasn't forced. It wasn't forced because I was like, we finally, after this whole year, we finally got time to ourselves. But this is over come the morning, so we should be doing everything right. And it was both of us. It's just like, nah, we don't got to do anything. Man, we wound up going back to the hotel and went to sleep peacefully. Now I'm a morning person, right? And this is important. I'm a morning person. I got up early that morning. I watched the sunrise. It was freezing, but I stood on the balcony. And it's something so serene about vast, large bodies of water. Any body of water, but especially the ocean. Overlooking the ocean. Every time I overlook the ocean and just let my mind flow, I get clarity. I get answers. Every time. It's spiritual. It's magic in it. It's calming, it's cleansing, and it's something humbling about seeing this vast body of water. When you see it, it's never ending. It's never ending. You can never see a whole ocean with just your eyes. And that's humbling because that hits the mind to let you know that there's so much more out there than just you and your problems become smaller. And then you can think about them from a different perspective. Come on, man. It's miraculous. So I sat on the balcony overlooking the ocean and just let my mind go. This happened for hours. Started to make connections and problems I was having, patterns that I had, habits that I needed to let go, right? And that's where I actually realized that I was depressed. Like after this whole year of rejection, of negativity, of entrapment, of change that's not in my favor, right? Of losing. I don't want to say failure because it wasn't a failure, but after losing so much, I actually got excited when I realized this. Like I said, it's December. And it wasn't until December that I realized, yeah, I am in a depressive state of mind. Like I'm working out of desperation now instead of like honesty and purity. I'm working out of desperation. I'm like, yo, anything to close a deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll take anything. Just sign here. Like, but this was a powerful moment for me because you cannot solve a problem you are unaware of. So once I realized this, I was excited. I was like, yeah, I, I'm depressed. I actually am depressed. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think I cried tears of joy at that moment, man. I was so excited because I knew I could regain control, right? I could enjoy this small trip and just be present. We ended up going to the outlets after that on the way home, extended this trip a little bit, um, and felt really good. We ended up getting Christmas gifts there. Like we did most of our Christmas shopping there. Uh, and also, you know, I don't know what they call it. I'm just saying we also caught COVID for the first time going down there to the outlets. We believe it was at the outlets. Um, but I enjoyed that trip so much because it brought me back to the present. That's the thing about depression is you're already projecting failure in your future because of how you feel in your present. When you're depressed and you're anxious and all of these things, when you're feeling these things, it's because you're outside of yourself and you already expecting the worst or what could go wrong. It's a never ending spiral, right? I could slip down the steps. I could, bust my head open. I could get in an accident. I could, all of this is just like, I gotta go to work. You know what I'm saying? The never ending is a never ending downward spiral of all of what could go wrong, when it's just the one thing that needs to happen. Um, so that's one of the main things I had to do was reel it back. Once you acknowledge that you are in a depressive state, now you can regain control. One of those things that you got to do is sending yourself back in the present, right? Sending yourself back in the present. And it's like, what's in front of me? What do I have control over? What can I control? What changes can I make intentionally? And let's go ahead and start working on those things. Let's do those things. And let me tell you, change is a domino effect. So, one of the main things that I love and I hone in on is physical activity because it's so tangible. If you're one who isn't physical, if you just do 10 squats, you just did something different. You feel it and you know it was for the good. All of that. You just accomplished on so many levels by doing something so small and you could do right away. Right away. So now you're already feeling at least a little bit better. Now you can transition and put that into something else. You know what the next thing I usually do? Let's clean my surroundings. I need to declutter, open up the area. Let's get some nice light, some natural light in here. I need to feel the sun, right? I need to be able to breathe. And just like with overlooking the ocean, the mind works like this. Whatever it sees, it believes. So if it can see space, it creates space. So when you declutter your surroundings, when you declutter your physical, it declutters your mental. It works. Try it and see. Right. The next thing I did, and it's actually the first thing I did, was I relinquished myself of the label of depression. Right. Uh, Now I wrote this article, so I'm reading from this article. It says labeling comes with comfort and entitlement. Once you openly label yourself as depressed, the normal reaction is for people to coddle you. They show empathy without even trying to figure out what's the cause or possible solution, right? This brings instant gratification. I wrote all of this in the article. Every human yearns to be understood. Depression is something I believe we've all dealt with and felt at some point. It can be lonely, cold, and yes, it can be painful. Hence the reaction to coddle the next person who is at least bold enough to admit that they are dealing or suffering rather with depression. This leads to you seeking the instant gratification instead of assistance in getting out of the downward spiral. Hello, that nigga was spitting. You know what I mean? I said at some point, people are going to stop entertaining you, blaming everything you don't do or that you do wrong on the label you subjected to. This then makes you upset and misunderstood, causing you to dive deeper within your depression. You know, once people are not entertaining the act no more. Once you said that you're depressed, now everything that like, oh, I dropped a cup. I'm so depressed. You know, once you subject to the label, the people around you at first are gonna coddle you. Then they're gonna be like, all right, I do it. You know, I'm like, all right. How long you gonna stay depressed? Now, what I learned is uh, to become depressed isn't an option, but to stay depressed is a choice. To become depressed isn't your option, but to stay depressed is a choice. You're choosing to stay that way. It's mental, right? Now, none of this I'm saying is easy. The mental battles are the toughest ones. Trust me when I say, hmm. Now, I said, how do you overcome it? How do you actively get out of depression? A question that's rarely asked outwardly. Understand that it is a mindset. It stems in the mind. Yes, there are other major factors and it affects you physically, but the basis of this is in the mind. It is a state of mind. We can become depressed, yes, but to stay depressed is a choice. Hello. You have to decide for yourself that you honestly do not want to be in this state any longer. You must talk to yourself and ask the real questions and be prepared for the answers. Depression, anxiety, fear, overthinking, and doubt all share the same basis of origin, which is great because they all share the same solution. I'm getting excited. And I haven't read this probably since I wrote it. So I'm looking at, like this is great. You cure depression with action. Start small. Just clean up the house. What I say? Just clean up the house and your surround and organize your surroundings. This will give you a sense of control. And seeing clean, open space creates space in the brain. Why I talk to myself? Now you have room to add positive thoughts and declutter the toxic ones that are no longer serving you. Now it's time to boost yourself. The best means I've found of doing this is with a combination of positive self-talk, reminders of achievement and accomplishment, and surrounding oneself with positive people. People who are not yes men and super agreeable to whatever miserable things I may spurt out, right? Remember, misery loves company. Put misery on punishment and isolate it. You need people who could remind you of how great you truly are. People who love you so much that they don't allow anyone to talk down about you, not even yourself. And this is where affirmations or some form of positive self talk is vital as well, right? Your subconscious has no measure of truth. It simply produces what it is fed the most. So even if you don't believe it at the moment, tell yourself things like, I'm so handsome. I'm so beautiful. I love you. I deserve some time. My smile is everything. I'm strong. I'm so strong. I'm happy and I choose happy. Start writing to yourself. This is another thing that I did. I said I could track my numbers. I could track what happened. I could see my depressive state. I could see it because I wrote it out. I wrote out things that was happening to me. But you know what I also saw? Achievement. I saw different problems because of the different levels of growth that I had maintained. So I'm like, yo, I'm not doing the same thing, or I'm doing more of, like shout out to me to be able to invest thousands in myself and my businesses, right? Shout out to me that I'm engaged to someone who wants to be with me so bad that she got upset that we couldn't get married. You know what I mean? Like we even tried to go to the courthouse, and in Virginia, they changed the law and all. I'm telling you, it was so much that like just kept like every time you put a foot forward, you get two back. It just kept happening. I was like, that's to be expected. But I had a tolerance. I was like, all right. All right, I'm tired of backtrotting, man. Let's get forward. Like, ain't no forward movement, but it actually was. I just couldn't see it. Right? Start writing to yourself. Keep track of some personal accomplishments, big or small, right? Your outfit, you put together a nice outfit. You look nice, you got a compliment, right? You're actually still doing for self. I know a lot of people get tired of doing their self-care routine. It becomes maintenance, it becomes work, it becomes a chore. But be proud that you have a routine, that you're taking care of yourself. That is so awesome, right? Because if you just let yourself go to the wayside, then you're gonna be even more upset, right? So I brushed my hair and brushed my teeth today. I got up, I got outside. Those are small wins. It may not seem like it. It may be too small for some people, but those are small wins, right? And I wrote these things. I would print out certifications and documents of achievements and fulfillment, right? And these were visual reminders of how great I was. Like these are true accomplishments, like employee of the month and all of that stuff, like LLCs and all of these things, like high sales. I got high sales this month. That probably was the months ago, but the last deal I did close. I printed out these things and kept them around me as visual reminders that I am great. I am doing stuff. I am making movement. I am progress in progress. Right? I printed out stuff. I wrote stuff. These were visual reminders of how great I was. I put sticky notes in places that I usually look at. So I put sticky notes when I wake up. I turn to the side so I see the wall, right? So when I wake up, when I turn to the side, I had put a sticky note right there, showing me my goals and what I wanted to get accomplished. Like reminding me when I wake up, it's the first thing I see, reminding me of my purpose. So I did that, bro. Says don't leave depression the chance to sneak back in. That's big. That's big. It's going to be a fight, but with the right mindset and environment, it will not prevail. Go outside, feel the sun and the wind. Notice the tree that stands strong. Reap the tranquility of the water. Clear your spirit and your mind of the constant negativity. That's what depression is. It's constant. And it holds so much weight. The more you think of something, the more weight it gains. It's constant negativity. Stop watching the news and filter your social media feeds. Seek counsel, therapy. Come on, guys. Therapy is highly underrated and overlooked. It's okay to need help. We all do. Only the strong will admit it and go looking for it, though. You are strong, remember? So to close it out, you're not alone. We have all been in a depressive state. Choose to get out of it. Do not stay there. Instant gratification does not solve the issues. Okay. Remind yourself of who you are. Surround yourself with the right environment for you to succeed. Get up, clean and organize your space. Go outside, feel nature, and talk to somebody. Remember, you can't have community without communication. And continue to be you, which is the best quality about you. There's no other like you. To be yourself is to be great, and depression has no hold over you. It is not allowed to live rent free in your mind. You are in control. Claim it. That's what I wrote for the Afro Wellness magazine, an article about depression. And all of those things hold true. So, yes, in 2020, everything flipped upside down and everything I was working towards, I have seemingly made no progress, right? Every time I try to get a step forward, I got pushed back. I mean, every time on everything, things that was so simple. This is when inflation decided to creep in. Um, I also wanted time to myself or more time to my business, but I was essential in both of the jobs that I had. So I was there. I was working like I was working probably about 18 to 20 hours a day, but still was upholding and investing in the business and got meetings with my coach and husbandry. And, you know, I, I said, forget me, throw everything to the side, like I'm not focused on me. I ain't got to do nothing that I want to do. I got too much that I got to do. And everything got flipped upside down for me, man. I did become, I did get into a depressive state of mind. But once you acknowledge it, that's the first thing. You can acknowledge it. And then I encourage you not to subject to the labeling of depression. I'm in a depressive state of mind right now. I'm going through this little phase, or times are rough, but I will get through it. This too shall pass. Um, I'm not that good. Yeah, I'll be honest. Somebody say, "How you doing?" Not that great at the moment, but I'll be alright. And if they are truly curious and want to talk, well, what's going on? Or it'll be okay. Well, that's good for you. Either one is acceptable, but I have to acknowledge and I have to be honest for me. So I'm not that great right now. You know, pivotal communication, pivotal self talk. Um, and then overlooking water is pivotal for me. We have this spot, we call it the steps. It's Libby Hill Death Steps. I know that sounds crazy, but it's Libby Hill Park in Richmond, Virginia. That is one of the spots that I call my peace place. That is the spot that I go. uh the view from there is what coined the title of River City. Richmond, Virginia is also known as River City, and that's because the James River goes through this city. And you could really the view from Libby Hill, you're overlooking the river. So I'm overlooking this body of water. I didn't even realize it until, I made that connection like a year later, but that became my peace place. I would gather there. It was one of the only places in 2020 that I could go that there was other people, and everybody that came out was working out. So I met a lot of great people there. Um, and all of us was working out, so most of us didn't get sick. Most of us didn't get sick. We usually got sick from being in contact with other people, but amongst each other, we was good. And I would just go out there. Other than working out, I would just go out there and just sit and let my mind roam. And I didn't realize it until I was like, I'm overlooking a body of water. It does something for me. Maybe it'll do the same for you. But definitely nature. You need sunlight, you need fresh air, and you also need water, right? Um, and some type of physical activity. All of this helps you get out of the depressive state of mind. Um, Actively, these are things that you could do actively to get out of that. Like I said, that was a change in environment because we were enclosed, isolated, right? Quarantined. So it was you gotta stay in. But at the same time, I'm an essential worker, so I had to stay in the job too. And then when I come home, guess what? I couldn't separate work from home. So now when I come home, there's more work to be done. And I just got lost in like my identity is work. I was a truly workaholic. And I was like, yo, one of the things my coach taught me, he said, however you create your success, remember you're also creating a lifestyle. So however you create your success is how you're going to be, how you have to be in order to maintain it. So if you're working yourself into the ground to get it, you're going to work yourself to the ground to keep it. And I was like, that ain't the goal, like I rather like I want to be free. I'm still gonna work. I love work, but I don't want to have to work at all times in this one facet. Like, let me at least work on myself. Let me at least work on my marriage. Let me at least work on something else. Let me work on the car. Let me work on something else. I don't want to continuously, like, always have to work that work, right? And however you create success is how you're going to have to sustain it. So, uh, like I said, shout out to my coach, man. I learned so much. That was the accomplishment. My experiences in 2020 taught me so much that led me to where I am now. So I'm truly grateful, right? And I got a lot more to learn. Got a lot more to learn, but I overcame that depressive state, and you can too. You can too. Whoever's watching this, if you're having a rough time, trust and believe I've been there. You could talk to me, right? If you want to work with me, I'm a mindset coach, man. We do this. We always improving the mind. If you want to work with me to get out of that, right? To actively get out of that, somebody who can hold you accountable. I know what my coach did for me. I could do the same for you, right? I can give you some tools and resources. I could put you in different places and different environments for you to see different things. Once you start seeing different, then you believe different. You don't have to be, or everything doesn't have to be the way that you have it set to be right at the moment, right? So talk to somebody, right? I advocate therapy. I love therapy. I love therapy. And side note about therapy, it's not a one size fits all. So that doesn't mean that you're gonna get the best therapist the first go around. You might have to try a few therapists until you realize what you actually want. I've had different demographics, I've had different genders, I've had different approaches, and what I learned is I need my therapist needs to be a black woman because don't nobody understand me like black women do. So my therapist has to be a black woman. That's me, right? And that's me learning from actively doing it, actively seeking out therapy. I know other guys who fit the bill just like me, but they need a white man. They need and it's not like that. It's more so just what you connect to, what you can feel free to open up to and stuff like that, like it doesn't have to come in the package of a gender, but for me it did resonate more. Therapy was easier for me when it was a black woman for me. So going through therapy, you'll find and align with what works for you. for you to get the best benefit from therapy. That's a side note. But I am a therapy advocate. I love therapy. And therapy really shows you that all of the answers are within, but you got to get there. Look at therapy, look at coaching, look at assistance. If you seek assistance, it is a self development. It is not somebody else telling you what to do. It's not somebody else who is building you. This is you doing what you need for yourself. This is you doing what you need for yourself. It's strength in that. You are giving yourself exactly what you need. That is self care, therapy, coaching, right? Counseling. Any type of assistance is giving yourself what you need if you acknowledge it's what you need. So don't worry about an image, man. We're gonna have to talk about that because imagery is holding a lot of people back. Mm, we're gonna have to talk about that. Anyway, I really hope this has helped somebody out there. I thank you all for being here with me. Always much love. And we're never depressed anymore. We just depressive moments. We're just having a phase. We're just going through a rough patch, a tough time. We're not subjecting to the label no more. Okay. Throw away that title. I'm never depressed. I might not always be happy, but I'm never depressed. Okay. Much love.